apologise, I only got wind of this forum today, so I'm a little unprepared, but also I'm a bit of the odd person out here, because I'm here to represent the animals in our community. I don't know if you know, but under the current laws, animals in agriculture have no real representation. They have no rights. They have no more rights than inanimate objects. What we originally set up to do was to actually change this, to get the recognition that animals do feel and suffer physically and psychologically just as we do. So to that extent, we are trying to get laws changed so that these animals are represented and have a better deal. You might not realise just what goes on behind the scenes in animal agriculture. Pigs that have the intelligence of a 3-year-old child have mutilations done, such as their tails dropped and their teeth clipped without anaesthetic. They end up dying from carbon dioxide poisoning in their hundreds of thousands. Chickens that are raised in the industry, for the egg industry for instance, the male chicks are simply crushed by industrial crushing machinery or poisoned to death. It's a situation that's got to change. I like the Australian Conservation Foundation, I think, came up with a really poignant view of how we see ourselves in the community, in the old network of things. The old version was ego, humans as being the dominant species and everything else underneath for our use only, ignoring their needs. The new version is eco, which is a connection whereby humans are involved in it and obviously playing an important part, but have a network amongst all other species in recognition of their needs and their requirements. We're already viewing extermination of species at a huge rate that we're diminishing now through rainforest destruction. Probably, I don't know how many people are aware that the majority of the rainforests destroyed in the world are purely to grow cheap beef for an emerging market. We're particularly against some of the key issues we're concerned about are the live export industry. We've seen apology after apology, yet again and again we've seen abuse. Most recently in Vietnam, where animals are sledgehammered to death. Not just once, 3, 4 times before they die in agony, once they're out of our purview. This is not good enough. We can do better than this for our species. We are standing to represent those species and we want to make a difference for them, and we will continue to do so. That doesn't mean we don't have issues like WestConnex. That's obviously a case in point where a lot of the information is hidden from, and laws force through, money force through, hidden businesses. We don't believe that's part of the democratic process. Just as animals need to be represented democratically, so do these other issues all have to face a really democratic scrutiny. Similarly with housing, I noticed in the paper today there's an American town planner that came up, and he said they're working even in high-density areas like New York. If they allow 15% of new development from developers, the developers don't lose profit. If given their have a right to more, perhaps greater density, they can still produce about 15% for more affordable housing. We don't necessarily have to look to government to provide the money. We can do it by working more carefully with the private concerns. We shouldn't be bashing that entirely. We've got to work with them. And I think that's bringing everyone to the party, to the table to make that difference. On the issue of environment, this is a very big one. There's a lot of talk about carbon dioxide. Everyone knows about carbon dioxide as being in the atmosphere. But one of the main contributors to greenhouse gases and climate change is actually methane gas. Methane is produced in cattle at an extraordinary rate, and the Goddard Institute of Space Research, which is part of NASA, has determined that over a 20-year period that methane is anything from about 56 to 72 times more powerful than carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. The thing is, most of the information is coming out now is measuring over a 100-year period, but the fact is we haven't got 100 years. We've got a very, very small opportunity to make a difference. We're seeing the reef disappear at the moment, being bleached. The Queensland government, I understand, is buying up cattle farms to try to stop this because of the urban runoff from cattle farming. I think we're not against farmers or anything like that. What we're trying to do is reconceive the way we're going to look at agriculture in the future and produce more foods that are required for of benefit to people and to the environment and, of course, to the animals. I know I'm a bit biased because I've been a vegetarian for 30 odd years. I don't expect everyone to become vegetarian or anything like that, but what I do want people to do is consider their diets in terms of the health, the environment and the animals, and make a difference. You don't have to become vegetarian overnight or anything like that, but if you do drop your animal intake, it's better than 10%. The whole population drop their animal intake by about 10% than 10% of people going totally vegetarian. It's not about that. It's being aware of the issues and making changes that way, because we do have limited time. I noticed on the areas of population explosions, there are 6 billion humans, but in fact there are about 60 billion animals on the face of the earth. They all require massive amount of food, transport, petrol, and so forth. In fact, for every European, I believe there's 2 tons of manure produced per annum. It's incredible. The unseen, that's what we're trying to address. On the issues of climate change in general, unless we act, we can't rely on politics to totally do it, but we can rely on ourselves as individuals to do the research, find out more about it, and to perhaps open up an awareness that we may not have considered before. I urge you to look at the policies on the Animal Justice Party website and look at the implications of what is there for us in the future. I think of our children and our children's children. We're going to leave a very poor legacy. Fortunately, the young groups are becoming much more aware of this. They're aware of animal issues. They want to see change. And I think they will begin to see change very rapidly. We've seen a tremendous change in attitudes to, for instance, our sports people. A lot of those people are turning towards veggie diets and so forth, more aware of the population of our health. As we move into the future, the health of our children is very much a concern. We've got obesity, heart disease and cancer. I don't know if you remember that Bill Clinton changed his diet dramatically. He went on a plant-based diet and had a tremendous effect on his health. We're finding that again and again, that simple changes to diet can make a big difference. If we're considering live exports, for instance, that works out at about, from my calculation, about $1.30 per Australian per week. If we actually look at the health costs, the World Health Organization has estimated about 80% of diseases are curable, are lifestyle diseases. If we look at that, we're looking at $70 per week per human. We need to be, per Australian, we need to be addressing that as a serious issue. I thank you for your time, and I hope you'll consider these issues when it comes to voting on July the 2nd.